Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. I'm so excited to be here. It is 4:23 on whatever day it is, Tuesday. I came in here before noon working on the audio. Okay, that's wrong. I came in here before 1. It's afternoon, but I had a yoga class at 1, so I came in for about 20 minutes before with the idea of getting the audio right, so right afterwards I could make a podcast, and it's been almost 2.5 hours. But I was determined not to let this stop me, and I actually enjoy the problem-solving aspect, but yeah, my apologies to you because I have a story for everything. And I really wanted to be able to record on video again, to be able to publish on YouTube and have good quality audio. And I wasn't able to do it with the same microphone before. So I'm just checking the audio. So I'm recording on 2 different computers. Long story, but I'm here. And it's, I don't know, there's so many topics with ADHD. One is hyperfocus. Sometimes people say things like, and this can be a different episode. It's not the title of today's. You probably already know that, but yeah, ADHD, the whole story of, is it really an attention problem? Can you not pay attention? A lot of people say no because you can pay attention to certain things, but I say it's still an attention problem because there's a lot of things that I can't pay attention on, probably more that I can't pay attention than I can. But as far as hyper-focusing, when I do focus on something, it almost becomes like a compulsion. It's almost like an addiction. It's almost like I don't want to, well, it is like I don't want to do anything else. I want to just keep working on it, whether it has meaning or not. Like this, it had meaning. I was trying to solve a problem and get the audio to you correctly, which the more you learn about ADHD, you start putting all the little dots together. Like, well, part of that's because that perfectionism aspect, you really want it to be this way, and it's not. Yeah. And the thing is, it's not like by everyone else's standards it's perfect, but it's your idea of perfect, or you see a glitch and you don't want it to stay that way. But anyway, yeah. So it can drive you crazy, the hyper-focus thing. It can be helpful at times to really get into a groove and work on things, but it was helpful this time. It doesn't seem like a long-term solution because the microphone I'm actually holding inside a blanket, like I've rescued a little animal or something. But I tried out this one microphone that I've used for a long time with yoga, but lately the Bluetooth part hasn't been working, and so with the live streaming at the same time, so I haven't used it, and I thought, well, try that. Well, it sounded really echoey for a video like this, so I thought, well, I don't want it echoey, and I remembered I have a lavalier mic. I don't know if you know what those are, but those are the ones that you can clip to your shirt or something, so it's really close to your mouth. Well, that one was a little better, but it was still echoey. And I thought, well, they have these wind screens. I tried this wind furry thing. Sorry to the other mic I just bumped. And I tried that, and it didn't really help. It's really for the wind gusts if you're outside. So this one, I decided, even though it already had one of these little foam things around it, I decided to take this blanket that was already on my lap, conveniently enough, and make a little soundproofing environment. Because one of the things they say you can do is make a little box with soundproof foam, but it doesn't really work for video because then you have this box around to the edges and that's what you would see. It works for audio only. So I decided to use my little fluffy blanket that my daughter's boyfriend gave me for Christmas last year. Or the Christmas before, I can't remember which, but anyway, I do love the blanket. Maybe it was a birthday. Who knows? I can't keep track. But that's not even the topic. The topic is what I was going to save for episode 100, but I decided to talk about it today in episode 99 because it might not seem like a big deal to anyone but me that episode 100 is almost here. And I've been noticing that ever since I knew I was getting closer to that number, I was less consistent with my recording. And yeah, there was a problem with the sound, and yeah, there were these other problems, and yeah, I moved to this room, but I focused on everything but this. I kept thinking, well, if this is just right, I rearrange, if you can see with this camera, I rearranged every book on the bookshelf. I decluttered books. I bought new baskets to put books in. I did all kinds of things to make it better for the podcast, but really it was to avoid doing the podcast. Well, why would I be avoiding doing the podcast? Do I not like doing it? No, I love doing it. Do I think people think I'm awful at it? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Those people probably aren't listening, so I shouldn't worry about them, right? So, you have all these thoughts in your head, but the one thing that kept coming up to me was this book that I read called The Big Leap, and I mentioned it before, by Gay Hendricks. And he talks about a fear of reaching your goal or reaching something higher than what you even hoped for, or he talks about it a little bit differently than I accept it in my mind, or how I see it play out for me. But his upper limit problem that he talks about is that we all have kind of a measuring tape of how much happiness we can have in life, how much success we can have, maybe financial success with our families, if that's even measurable. Whatever we see as possible, we have a limit with it. And I know for me, I grew up in a family, none of my relatives made a lot of money. No one made a lot of money, and we're okay with that. But at the same time, it could have been nicer, and especially in today's age, it's harder to buy a house. It's harder to keep your house. It's harder to buy a new car when your car wears out. All those things. At least I think more than when my parents, and that obviously people didn't, well, if you lived back then, people didn't have the same standard of living as we do now. We didn't have electronics. There was one TV in most homes. And when I was growing up, getting a colored TV, I started out with a black and white TV. Colored TV was a big deal. A microwave was a big deal. I mentioned probably before that I bought my parents their first microwave when I was in college. Microwaves had been around for a while, but they never saw the pressure or the need or whatever. They never had an expectation that they had to buy something if they couldn't afford it. Whereas that's a world that we live in, is buying things because we need them, not because we can necessarily afford them. So it causes, there's a lot of problems, right, financially. And I look at my family now, and none of us are really making any money. And I have a big family. Like, my dad is the oldest of 7 kids. My mom, there's 4 children in her family, and grandchildren. On my dad's family with 7 kids, grandchildren galore. Like, when we have a family reunion, there's over 100 people there, and that's at least half of the people aren't there. So there's a lot of people, and maybe some of them have more money than I know about, but not very many of us have reached some really big money status, where we're living comfortably, not needing to work, anything like that. And that's okay. That is most of us, right? But as I've been an adult, I was a stay-at-home mom. Totally love that. So glad I did that. Really resist working a 40-hour-a-week job ever since I became a mom. I worked full-time until my first daughter was born, literally till the night I went to the hospital. And just never had a desire to work 40 hours a week for a company ever again. And now that I look at it, I think that whole locked in thing that I talked about in the last episode, the structure versus freedom, I could not see myself fitting into that structure with the responsibilities I have as a mom. And I could look at it, well, the responsibilities as a mom could also be financial. So yeah, why are you not looking at it that way? But the way that my brain works, there was something there, right? But getting back to the Big Leap book, or the Are You Afraid of Success? Are you resisting? See, I don't even know if we're afraid of it, but we might be afraid of it. That's Gay Hendricks is more like we think we're not worth it. We're not worthy of it. And we have a level of like, I can be this happy, but you can't be happy all the time. And he says, yeah, you can be happy all the time. I don't even know if I agree with that, because we have all kinds of emotions in our bodies, and I believe our bodies were designed to experience those emotions. So some of the time that might be tears, some of the time that might be anger. For me, I'm more like that, the movie with the Disney movie, whatever it's called, with all the moods. But I do like his idea that something is stopping us. Have you ever gone toward a goal or started feeling like I didn't know it could be this good. And then you start thinking, like you're putting on the brakes and you're thinking, maybe not. And you resist it for some reason. Sometimes it's pretty evident. You just think, what was I thinking? What was I even thinking and planning to do that? I've thought that many times with this podcast, even though for probably 6 or 7 years I wanted to have a podcast. I didn't know what for. But I knew I wanted to help people in some way or connect with people in some way. I had that great need, and I still do. But something stops me every once in a while. And often we talk about self-doubt. Self-doubt can stop us. But what's even deeper? Why are we having that response? Why are we having that mechanism? Do we really believe those negative things about ourselves? Maybe at times, but probably most of the time, no. You probably know what you're capable of. I hope you know what you're capable of, because all of us have gifts. We have amazing gifts that we can share with people in our lives, with the world to some degree. And you have these talents, these gifts, and you go after things, or you decide, maybe you're an artist, I'm going to draw these things, and maybe I'll have an online business or a ceramic shop, and you have these ideas. And I've even seen myself look at other people who share ideas like that with me, and not that I ever would think you can't do that. I just think, oh, it's probably not possible. Like I have a friend, I kind of hesitate talking about friends, but this is a friend who's done amazing things, and he doesn't know this, so he probably won't listen. But anyway, years ago, when we were about to move away, he said that he was a surfer, and he said, I want to have a surf shop. I want to open a surf shop. He was out of high school, got married young, and said, I want to have a surf shop in this downtown square of this college town that was nearby. And I thought, oh, there's probably so much more involved in that, of being a business owner, or, how much would it cost to rent space there and maintain a business, and would people even support it? And then the heating bills, and so that's what my reality was for him. I saw these upper limits. He never saw the upper limits. And when we moved away, all of a sudden I'd see posts on social media with his wife or him that they'd opened a surf shop, that it was successful, even to the point where he had more than one business, and he ended up selling the surf shop and doing quite well. They built a really nice house for themselves. He didn't see that same limit that I did, and I didn't discourage him in any way. I don't think anyway, hopefully. Sometimes people can sense your doubt, but I don't think I discouraged him in any way. But I look at that and I think, okay, how many times have I done that for myself? How many times have you done that where you think, I would love to do that, but it's not possible? That only works out for other people. I don't know that I agree with thinking we're not worth it. Maybe that's an accurate term psychologically, or that whoever this professor was, I can't remember what his background was. He taught it at Stanford. But he says that when life starts going too well, or it's getting close to it and better than what we feel comfortable with, what we think that we deserve or that we're comfortable with, or it's not outside of our box, we unconsciously sabotage ourselves to bring ourselves back to what's familiar. And that makes sense to me when I think of the fear aspect that can come into it, of like, I'm afraid of that. It's new to me. I haven't done it. I'm afraid of it. It's scary. Some people might think I'm like lame if I fail at it or whatever. Or what if I work at this for 20 years and I still fail? All of those things are those messages that we give ourselves that just bring us back to what's familiar. If we don't try, we don't have to see. And he says, this author says, that these things are possible. He's worked with people all over the world and brought them past that upper limit problem. Even billionaires, he said, it doesn't even matter how much money you have an upper limit problem. It could be family relationships. We'll never have happiness in our family. We'll never get along. Any of that might show up as you picking a fight with someone, because you don't know what it's like to get along, and you're more comfortable in that fight picking area. Or maybe you are used to being the person who's sick all the time, or who knows, whatever that mode is, It's not really what I think of for us, but it might be. I don't know. Maybe you're used to having people not view you as a strong person and you want to be strong for once. I don't know. I'm just thinking of things that I can relate so much more to the things I can relate to. but anyway, if you think that either you don't deserve that success or something unknown, uncomfortable will happen if you have that level of success, then you'll stop yourself from achieving that. And we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to stop ourselves from accomplishing great things. So for women with ADHD, what would be our reasons? What would be some of the areas that this might show up? If you're in my area, if you're in my era of life, if you've lived through the diet eras and all the, we need to lose weight and all of that, then you might be really familiar with setting a goal. I'm gonna lose weight by this wedding or by this family reunion because people are gonna see me in a swimsuit and I want to make sure that I'm looking good in that swimsuit. So you really don't know what you're going to look like at that weight, but we always use that number, right? So I want to get to 127 or whatever your goal weight would be. And you set that goal weight and you make a little plan and you start working toward it. And if you're like me, there's probably more times than not that maybe didn't even last a day. But let's say it did last more than a day. Maybe you've done this dozens of times. Yeah, I was a yo-yo dieter. You've done it so many times that you've seen a pattern. So you finally are on a roll. You're finally doing better with this. And you're getting closer to your goal. And there might be some things that slow you down or discourage you. You hit a plateau, you give up or whatever. But what if you are progressing and you're getting closer to it and people start to notice and people are saying things and sometimes you're the sabotager person. Sometimes other people sabotage you. And they might say things that, you don't need to lose weight, you're getting too thin. Or what do you think you need to do that for? Or you're a mom and you shouldn't care about your weight. Whatever. I wouldn't say I've heard it all, but I probably have heard it all. And you start just to back away from that goal and think, I'm really resistant. It's making me uncomfortable because I don't like the level of attention I'm getting. I don't know what it's going to be like when I do get more attention. Sometimes the comments are, you look so much better. Then do you feel horrible about how you looked before? It just brings new things and you're used to the old problems, right? So you say, I'll just stay with the old problems and you back away from your goal and you don't do it. And whatever situation you can think, I don't plan things out in advance to have all these situations thought out that you might be able to relate to. But if you've thought of one, whatever it is that you're trying to reach, for me, being a podcast host, I want to have 2 episodes a week. Why? Because I just feel the need to. I want to. I like doing it. It's bringing me joy. I feel driven to do it, so I'm doing it. So that's my little experience. And whatever yours is, if you have those self-doubt moments come in, you want to try a new career, you want to try something new, you've had a goal to travel somewhere, and you start making plans to do it, and then you start seeing reasons why you shouldn't. And unless they're really valid reasons, notice, is it your own thoughts that are getting in the way? And what happens with these thoughts is they're not only bad for how you feel about yourself, but they also trigger behaviors that cause you to bolt and run, that cause you to do things like procrastinate. Like maybe you think, I still want to work toward this, but I don't have time today. I'll do that next week. It makes me too nervous to think about it right now. It's too stressful to try to book flights right now. Or you're overthinking it. Or you just have all these things that are already maybe something that you struggle with, starting it and not finishing it. And the reason behind that behavior is because there's some kind of fear there. Or you really don't want to know what'll happen if you do all of it. You're going to have to carry it through. You don't have to, but you know what I mean. You're afraid of carrying it through. And the more that you listen to those voices that are self-doubting, they reinforce that frame, that measurement of this is how much I'll do in life. This is where I'm comfortable. This is where I should stay. It just keeps reinforcing this is the level I should be at in life. If there's such a level, you know what I mean? You have a little frame and you think, I'm just much more comfortable here. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to make a change. And that's it's a little alarm that goes off in your body when that self-doubt might be an indication of some fear. It might be an indication of feeling like you don't really want to see what happens if you do it. You don't want to have possible negative experiences that you don't know about, but they're possible positive experiences. So why do we base it on the possible negative experiences when the risk is very minimal? And so there's some self-talk. I looked this up. I looked this up because what do? I have my own little frame of reference, just noticing what's going on in my mind. Can I identify that? But if you really see it for what's happening in this kind of frame instead of what's happening here, I'm just nervous because I'm afraid to do it, but you said you were going to do it before. But if you look at it through the view of, I'm going to do something really great, instead of thinking about it, I'm doing something unknown that's scary. Say my brain is trying to tell me it's not comfortable with going into an area of more success, of more happiness, of more whatever that I've experienced before. More attention, more this, more whatever it is. When we learn and grow, we're doing those new things. And it's exciting to learn and grow. One of the exciting things for me anyway, I don't travel that much, but going and traveling is just being able to take in so many new elements. It could be the people, just the idea. I didn't travel to another country besides Tijuana, so that's the only country. If you're in California, that's like right below Chula Vista, San Diego. So it's really close to the border. So it's about as close to the U.S. as you can get in Mexico. And I went there and bought some huaraches in college. I don't know that people just go back and forth on the border like that anymore. But anyway, that was my exposure to going into a foreign country where people didn't speak English as their primary language. Well, that could be different parts of LA too. That could be going into different areas and hearing Spanish. I was used to that. That wasn't an eye-opener to me at all. And when I went to Eastern Europe on my first trip out of the country, I was kind of blown away by it. Like, the U.S. is not the center of the earth like we think it is. California is not the center of the earth. And yeah, they might have TV shows, Hollywood music that they're playing, and they love to learn English, but they have their own lives, and we're not a part of it. It was just an eye-opener to me in a lot of ways. Culturally, my goodness, everything they have is so small. We had a Suburban at the time, 6 kids. That would look like a school bus there. Their cars were so tiny, and their bathrooms, their showers were so tiny. Their everything, like the showers, the built-in showers that they had. There was only one shower that was bigger because it was a tub shower, but you had to hold the thing up, from the below. It didn't actually have a faucet thing that came from up above. But we stayed in a lot of Airbnbs and stuff. But most of the showers were just so small that your shampoo would have to be this close to your chest. That was uncomfortable for me. I felt very spoiled because that was uncomfortable for me, that I couldn't lengthen out my arms in a comfortable way to shampoo my hair. Yeah, little things like that. So, and even traveling, just seeing new places, new kinds of architecture and landscape, all kinds of things, right? So that aspect of traveling is exciting for people because it opens your eyes. You're learning, you're growing. And when we have a desire to do something, and we start going toward it, we can have a similar experience of learning and growing by being exposed to something new. But our brain tries to keep us where it's safe. And it's trying to keep us where we're not expanding our capacity, our abilities. And if you start to notice what's happening, okay, I'm getting uncomfortable. I'm giving myself a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of negative ideas in my head that just feel like they're true because I'm kind of afraid of learning and growing. And I need to see what's happening, and I need to tell myself, it's okay, keep going. Like, just like you're a guide, you're somebody's, like, I don't know, I don't want to climb that mountain. I don't know if I can make it. And like, here, I'm right with you. You can do this. This was a good idea, and I know you're ready for it. Guide yourself and tell yourself you're moving in the right direction. Keep going. Keep going, and see what happens. See what wonderful things come of this. From here, if you are moving in a direction of something that you really feel driven to do, the chance is it's something that you love to do. It goes along with what I talked about at the beginning, having gifts, having something to offer the world. And so whatever gifts that you have inside of you, that it might be something that's more silent, not in front of people, but maybe sharing something. It might be photography. It might be working with children. It might be, different things that you could do that might go a level beyond what you've done before. Maybe you go into the medical field. You haven't worked a full-time job, but now you do want to because you want to help people in a different way. And whatever that is, just see yourself as, I'm moving in this direction. It was once a good idea. It's still a good idea. Keep going. And the key to doing this is seeing if it aligns with what makes you happy to begin with. Did you go in that direction because it aligned with something that gives you joy? It's something that you would love to do, and it doesn't even feel like work. It's fun for you. You want to do this. You think this is really fun. Like, I've always loved speaking in front of people, crazy enough. I don't know why I think it's fun, but I do. I just do. And you might have your thing. I don't know why I think it's fun, but I do. It might not make sense to others, but it makes sense to me, and I want to pursue that. I want to do something with it and see what happens. So if you've heard of your zone of genius, I don't know if this author is the only one who talks about it, but he also talks about finding that zone, that area where it makes you feel joy, it makes you feel fulfilled, and you just feel great inside, and you just feel like, yeah, this is natural to me. It might not be natural to somebody else. And on the flip side, you might look at something somebody else is doing and say, no way, I would never want to do that. I feel that way when people say they want to run a marathon. I'm like, not me. Or want to climb some big mountain and jump off. I talked about climbing a mountain. I do like climbing mountains, but I don't like steep cliffs and stuff. So that's not my goal. But there are some things that, that's just not your interest, or you're just not good at it. And it's okay. It doesn't mean like you're not good at anything if you point out the things you're not good at and you accept those and you just don't pursue them anymore. You just think, I'm not going to sew, I'm not going to do crafts. I just feel bad about myself when I do it. I moved from the sewing to the crafts in the past year or two. I've thrown away too many Christmas, Halloween, and ornaments, just even little things out of beads that people make. Mine are so stupidly awful. They're just really bad. But if you're not good at it, don't think you have to go there. So that's what they call the zone of incompetence. And then there might be the zone of what you're competent at. What can you do? But it's not like you do it that great. And other people can probably do it just as well. If you think about music talent, some people are really, really, really gifted at music, playing the piano, singing, whatever it is. Some really excel at it, but they're not quite as like at that level as Whitney Houston. Very few people are with singing. I mean, maybe a lot of people are. If you go into Spotify, there's a lot of people who can sing. I'm trying to look at this and think, is my singing the competent or the excellent? I don't think it's excellent, but I think it's better than competent. So there could be some in between. Oh my goodness. I'm just laughing because with ADHD, I have to evaluate and I have to challenge there are 3 things, there are 4 things, there are 5 things. I have to challenge them in my mind and see where I agree with it, where I don't. And you might do that when you're listening to me. That's totally fine. But there might be things you're competent at. Maybe that's what your job is. Maybe you can edit. I am competent in editing. I majored in English. I probably thought when my kids were in school that I was excellent at it and was really good at it because I majored in English. Now I wonder. I have had a few editing jobs. I don't know. I don't know that I'm as good at it as what I once thought. But anyway, so I don't know if I fit into the zone of excellence. But if you're in that zone of excellence, there are things that you do really well. Maybe you've won awards for it, or you've been applauded for it. You play the guitar or whatever it is, or you run a race and people cheer you on and you're really great at it. But do you super love doing it? Have you even seen this in your children where you see a talent that they excel at, but it doesn't make them as happy to do it as you want, as you think it should? That's one of my daughters with singing. She had still does, beautiful voice. And at some point, she didn't want to sing in front of people. And it made me really sad. But that didn't feel safe for her anymore. And I had to honor that. So I get to enjoy her private concerts. She still lives with us. But your zone of genius, what are the things that you are so suited for, that make you so energized, that you could do for a really long time and not feel drained, not feel wiped out? They bring out the best in you and you love it. And maybe you can't do it forever. Maybe not forever. Because I even look at this. I love children. I love to be around children. And the more that I live, I realize that not everyone loves to be with children as much. Or they don't enjoy them as much. Like I think we all do with our grandchildren, if you have grandchildren, or we all do hopefully with our own kids and our own grandchildren. But yeah, children are just amazing. And maybe everybody thinks this, but I really don't think so. I hear a lot of people who are very intolerant of children or not very patient. And so I think I excel at that. If it's something that you can excel at, I actually just think it's a gift. It's one of my gifts of being able to love people, but loving children. And some people love babies. I do love babies. I just didn't always love newborns. I don't know if you evaluate yourself as much as I do. Okay, I'm going to stop making it so personal here, but I hope you're making it personal for you. I hope you're evaluating in your mind, what is it about me? What I've learned, like with teaching yoga, is that what I thought I was offering sometimes was different. Like I had a goal with teaching yoga of I want to share this with people. I want them to figure out how this can help them, and I can give them that opportunity. What I learned from others' feedback over time was where my zone of genius was in that. And it was so different than anything I ever would have thought that I set up, but it was just the way I connected with them and the way that I taught them, not what I taught them. Does that make sense? And you may get feedback from people. You know what's so great about you? I hope you get feedback like that. You know what's different about the way you do this is you do. And that helps you see what your level of genius is and where you might want to go further with it. What gives you the sense of, like, I don't know, just joy. So, yeah. So whatever it is that area for you, if you start pursuing it and you start to see, oh no, I'm getting afraid. Maybe I'm not as great at this. Maybe this doesn't make me as happy as I want it to. Just know that you have this mechanism for whatever reason that's telling you you're about to break through your old limits. You're not used to that. Sure, you want to go there? Yes, you need to go there. We all have something to offer in life. I truly, truly believe that. And sometimes it comes through pushing through those limits. And the older you get, you realize you only have so much time on this earth. And if you want to try things, if you want to pursue things, if you want to see how you can learn and grow and help others if that's what you want to do, share things, whatever it is, make more money, help your family out that way. Don't let that self-doubt tell you, this means I can't do it. Let that self-doubt tell you, this means I'm getting close to that upper limit. I'm about to go farther, and I can step through that. So, have you ever seen Field of Dreams? Most of us have, with Kevin Costner. And there's that scene where the doctor, who is the older doc in town, and then Kevin Costner goes back and sees him with James Earl Jones. I don't know what his character's name is. He's that professor. He's able to go back in time and see this doctor when he was a young kid, and how this kid wanted to play baseball. And it was just his dream. And he got to go to Field of Dreams. If you don't know this movie, I apologize. Go see it. But it's not a spoiler if I tell you this. So it's not the main point. But he gets to go out in that field. And here he is, this young kid. He's this rookie. And he gets to go on the field and play with legends. And he's out there playing and just having the time of his life. It is his dream, right? But he later went on to become a doctor, because we already saw him when he was older and everything, when he was doc, and he talked about say hi to the missus or whatever. So anyway, so he's on this field playing with all these players, and outside of that Field of Dreams is the real life people sitting on the bleachers going, I can't believe we get to see this, and watching these people. And they're in a different realm. And they're sitting there, and the little girl falls off the back of the bleachers, and she chokes on a hot dog. And they're like, oh no, anybody, and they're trying to help her, and they're not able to do the Heimlich maneuver. And the young kid sees what's happening, and he starts to go over there and thinks, I become a doctor someday. He knows what his zone became in life. At that point, he knew what he loved, which was the baseball, but that wasn't his true purpose. And he starts to go toward the girl to help her. And Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones see, wait a minute, we know if you cross over this line, you're going to be that doctor. You'll never be able to go back into that field and play again. Like that career's over. And he takes that step over, and as soon as his foot goes over, it changes from the baseball cleat to the old man's shoe. And he steps over there and helps the girl, and the girl's fine. But I just love that message, because there are moments like that where we're literally stepping over a line of what? Discomfort, of fear. But if you have as much sure knowledge of your purpose, or that your need to do this is great, then you do it. And you fulfill that purpose. You go on and you help people in life, if that's what that helps you do. We all think of making the world a better place. In some way, we all can do that, right? With the gifts that we have. So hopefully I'm not losing you too much here. But yeah, just tell yourself, keep going. I've got to keep going here myself. Like I said, I've been sitting here now. It's been like over 4 hours. Not talking to you. You're probably thinking, no, you haven't talked to me that long, if you don't remember at the beginning. I was working on the audio, and hopefully it worked out because I'm still holding this little blanket. I'll probably get another microphone for this later, but for now, this is what it is, and it's working, I hope. Anyway, thank you for being here. This is my episode 99 because I really think that episode 100 was scaring me. Like, what does that mean? Does it, like, did you achieve anything in that 100 episodes? You've been doing this for a year and a half. Have you met any of your goals? In many ways, yes. In many ways, no, not at all. I'm still living the ADHD life in a lot of ways too, but that's okay. I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So thank you so much for being here. I will be back again. It's not going to take me as long to come back as it did last time. And I'll talk to you.